Allow me to ride on the protocols that have so far been established in the interest of time. Distinguished fellows of the Institute of Human Resource Management, colleagues, and our guests this evening, I'm deeply honored to join you during this occasion for conferment of fellows of the Institute of Human Resource Management, where we gather under the theme, Fellows in Focus, Advancing Performance and Strategic HR Leadership in Kenya. Tonight, we celebrate the professional accomplishments of HR leaders, even as we reflect on how strategic human resource and sound performance management are driving Kenya's bottom-up economic transformation agenda. You are aware that we are currently implementing the fourth medium-term plan of our Vision 2030, and this actually is anchored squarely on our bottom-up economic transformation agenda. A transformational plan that commits to inclusive growth by improving infrastructure and public service across Kenya, while focusing or laying more emphasis to alleviating the challenges faced by those operating at the bottom of the economic pyramid. And at its core, better depends on a capable, agile, and motivated public service. And that means strong human resource leadership and accountability at every level from an HR perspective. How then do we strengthen human resource and performance management under our bottom-up economic transformation agenda? The government has introduced a range of initiatives under Better, and by extension, the Kenya Vision 2030, reforms that make HR a strategic enabler of service delivery. Just for purposes of illustration, let me elucidate a few examples. One, revamping of the Public Service Performance Management Unit, which entails reforming the performance contracting process and deepening it by linking institutional and individual performance to the rewards and sanctions mechanism. All public institutions have been placed on performance contracts which have been cascaded to the departmental and individual level, thus institutionalizing a culture of performance in the public service. The contracts are aligned to the government's bottom-up economic transformation agenda, thus ensuring a synergized approach towards realizing national development goals. Now, for those of you who are graduating into the role of honors this evening, and even those who are already serving the role of fellows this evening, and those who are already serving as fellows, if there is any ask we require of you as government, is to help us institutionalize a culture of performance in the public service. And in the same vein, align performance to reward management, where those who excel in performance are rewarded to a level commensurate with their performance, and in equal measure, perpetual underperformers face sanctions. That is the only day when we achieve that there will be an impetus for high performance in the public service. It is mind-boggling that we have a culture in the public service where people come to the office day in, day out, not driven by results, but because they are waiting for the end of the month to earn a salary. We must change that. We cannot continue like this, good people. We must have a performance-driven culture if Kenya is to move forward in the right trajectory. And this means we have to institutionalize reward management on one hand and institutionalize performance management on the other. When I was appointed to this position, the position of Deputy Chief of Staff responsible for performance and delivery management, I hit the road running to try and work with everybody to institutionalize both performance management and performance contracting. But I came to realize that the farthest we go is to get the president to sign performance contract with cabinet secretaries, get the cabinet secretaries to sign performance contracts with principal secretaries, get the ministries, line ministries to sign performance contracts with the respective boards of the state agencies, but those performance contracts are not cascaded downwards to the lowest levels. They are left hanging somewhere at the top. We will not achieve much good people unless and until we align individual performance to departmental performance to corporate performance in institutions. And unless people realize or recognize the relationship between the targets which are set for them in their individual capacities, what their departments or functions, line functions are expected to achieve, and what their institutions are expected to deliver, informed by their functional mandates. So we need to institutionalize performance management at all levels. And that is a challenge I'm throwing to you people. Help us institutionalize performance management. If it is not institutionalized, if it is not aligned, and if it is not anchored on the strategic plans of the respective organizations, then when you are setting targets for people, people will think that you are setting arbitrary targets, which are overambitious and which are meant to punish them. So you have a key role to play as drivers of this process within the organizations to help us institutionalize performance management. The other issue is revamping of the government delivery unit. This is a central unit which is charged with the responsibility of ensuring that government programs and projects are effectively and efficiently delivered. We have tried again in equal measure to reinvigorate this by ensuring that we continuously monitor, evaluate, and report on the implementation status of all government programs and projects. This is an area where government has not been doing well, and we have been blamed for it. That government is doing too much, but it is not out in the public domain. So again, in equal measure, we request you to help us in communicating, those of you who are in government, in communicating the programs and activities of government, including reforms which government is instituting or introducing in the public service or in government. Process re-engineering. You are aware that we are leveraging on technology to re-engineer our business processes, which has actually brought fundamental benefits to government. When we came into government, we only had 350 government services available on the e-citizen platform. Today, we have got a whopping over 22,000 government services available on the e-citizen platform. When we came into government, we used to collect, on a good day, 60 million shillings, domestic revenue. Today, on a good day, we are collecting between 800 million shillings to 1 billion shillings, courtesy of digitalization alone. The people in government remain the same, yeah? But we have just changed the style of operations by leveraging on technology. It just shows how re-engineering of processes can bring about fundamental change. Just leveraging on technology, we have managed to seal the revenue leakages, yeah? So that we do not have pilferage of government resources courtesy of digitalization. So that again is a positive feat that government has realized. And we will continue strengthening the delivery function so that targets which are set in the bottom-up economic agenda are monitored, reported, and also effectively communicated. Yeah? Effectively communicated. You know, at times, it's a bit surprising that even individuals who work in certain line ministries or even agencies are not abreast of how far they have gone in implementing their plans. If you ask them, what have you achieved this year? They'll not be able to tell you. Yeah? If you ask them, what have you planned to do? Surprisingly, quite a number of people do not know. And that means also we develop strategic plans in institutions, but we do not cascade those strategic plans, or we do not institutionalize the strategic plans. So you are asking people to implement what they don't know. And that's where the problem starts. Because the genesis of everything we do in our organizations is the strategic plan. That's another area where HR needs to help us by way of sensitization of staff, working closely with the strategy functions in the line ministries and parastatals. Talent reviews and succession planning, or succession management if you want to call it. We have institutionalized regular talent reviews processes to identify, assess, and prepare high potential employees for leadership roles. I remember sometime, I think I was still at the university then. It was very common for prominent principal secretaries were actually synonymous with certain ministries. We knew that we had Mutitu in Ministry of Energy. Yeah? I don't know who can help me with others. There are principal secretaries who would stay even in certain ministries for even 20 years. Now, what would happen is that the day they are retiring, a party is thrown, and all and sundry is told that, it's unfortunate he's leaving, so and so is leaving, and he's leaving shoes which are too big to be filled. That is a clear performance, a clear indicator that there is ineffective succession planning and management. How can you be leaving shoes which are too big to be filled? It means you are not planning for your exit. You are running a one-man show, isn't it? So you have nothing to be proud about if you are retiring from the public service and you are leaving shoes which are too big to be filled. You did not prepare for your exit. That's why we must have effective succession planning and succession management. And we are working very hard in government through the Ministry of Public Service to achieve this. Madam PS has talked about digital automation of various HR processes. This is imperative. Yeah, the benefits cannot be gainsaid. I don't want to belabor on this. We are also utilizing data-driven workforce planning alongside systems, policies, and procedures. And all this taken together constitutes major reforms that are already shifting HR from a back office function to a core function in government. Now, HR is an integral function in government. It's not just a support function. For a very long time, we have viewed HR as a support function to other functions in government, a facilitator. HR is at the center of everything that we are doing in organizations. Without HR, everything collapses. But we need, in equal measure, to embrace innovation in human resource. And our path forward also demands continuous innovation, emerging technologies like artificial intelligence, big data, machine learning. How do we cope with all this? How do we cope with all this? Yeah? How do we integrate digital transformation into HR practices? And how does the human resource survive in the face of digitalization? That's a question we need to ask ourselves and provide answers to. Is HR becoming extinct in the face of digitalization? How does HR remain relevant? So those of you who are coming into the fellowship space, those are questions which call for answers. That's why we call to action, looking ahead to build on the momentum that has already been laid, and we urge you to focus on certain major actions. And the first one is policy and regulatory reforms. We should review and update our HR and performance policies to entrench these innovations. For example, we can amend relevant public service statutes to mandate performance culture and talent management across all agencies. We must allow for innovation and creativity, especially among the younger generation who are joining the workforce today. Let us allow them to experiment. The laws, rules, and regulations that we have in our institutions are not cast on stone because they are made by human beings. And depending on unfolding events from time to time, as the case may be, or as the need may be, they can be modified. So we should be ready for policy, legal, and regulatory reforms to facilitate innovation and creativity. So we can't continue telling people that you can't do that because the law is very clear. The regulations are very clear. No, allow people to innovate. Allow people also to experiment and make mistakes and use those as learning platforms to perform better moving forward. But we also need stronger institutional collaboration between government and the private sector, between government and industry, between government and professional bodies like IHRM. The Executive Office of the President, in this regard, good people, will deepen its collaboration with the Institute of Human Resource Management and other professional bodies. And if you allow me, may I propose a formal partnership framework between the Executive Office of the President, or government for that matter, and the Institute of Human Resource Management, so that our policy makers and your professionals share knowledge regularly. For example, government can co-host seminars or joint working groups with IHRM to develop joint strategies on issues like competency frameworks, ethics, and diversity in the workforce. And through such institutional ties, government reform programs will benefit from the cutting-edge expertise of the seasoned HR leaders like the ones we had here. Yeah? There is no need of outsourcing skills from out of this country where we already have the skills within the country. Kenya has got the best talent, human resource, and we need to exploit. Indimuli here will tell you, we have got the best human resource among the leading in Africa. The problem we have, or the challenge we are facing, is underutilization of our human resource. We need to attain optimal capacity utilization of our human resource. We have the people, we have got the brains, but they are underutilized. I come from a background where I was in consultancy for a very long time. And I realized that quite a number of institutions or organizations prefer importing professional services from overseas country or going for big name firms. People like Alban Mwenda or even Nasirembe will tell you that you may go, and again I'm saying this without prejudice, you may go for big name consultancy firms. You award them the assignments, but they reach out to the people in this room to undertake those HR consultancies. Yeah? Am I speaking to somebody? Yeah? That's what happens. Yeah? That's what happens. And that shows you that we have got the talent in Kenya. So you people as HR practitioners in your organizations, what matters in a consultancy is not the name of the organization, but the individual undertaking the consultancy. This is a big pool of HR expertise. If we turn this into a database, there is no HR challenge that we are not able to solve. Are we together? Why don't we network amongst ourselves and utilize the skills, competencies, and capabilities that we have to address HR challenges? Not just in the private sector, but also in government. Yeah? Why can't government, for example, utilize the expertise we have within the IHRM to sort out all HR challenges that we have? That is the networking that we need to strengthen. Partnership, strategic alliances and partnerships is the way to go. Between government and the private sector, between government and industry, between government and professional groups. And that is the same thing that the PS here had alluded to earlier. As I conclude, may I suggest that, informed by the invaluable resource that we have here, we explore the possibility of establishing a Fellows Government Advisory Council. Yeah? We establish a permanent advisory council composed of IHRM fellows and government HR officials. The fellows would meet quarterly or even more frequently as the need may be, depending on unfolding events from time to time, and advise government on emerging issues, come up with strategic interventions to overcome emerging challenges, review progress on strategic HR initiatives, and recommend solutions. If we formalize this channel of communication, we will ensure that the voices of HR practitioners are heard at the highest levels, and that public policies are informed by experience in the industry or field experience. And Abdikadir threw a challenge to you people. You know, I'm a professional who is also slightly different because I also have quite a bit of experience in politics. Yeah? I want to challenge you people not to take a back seat when it comes to decision-making processes in this country. As professionals, step forward and adopt a participatory approach, politics inclusive, so that you can become part and parcel of the decision-making processes. If you go to Parliament today, you'll get so many lawyers. How many HR professionals do we have there? How many HR professionals do we have in Parliament? Don't take a back seat. We need to move this country from being led by traditional politicians to professionals, if we are to have value proposition for the good of this country. So you people should also take part in those processes. These coming elections, let's see some of you running for parliamentary seats. Let's see some of you running for MCA seats. Yeah? Yeah? Let's see one of you, yeah, stepping forward and running for presidency. Kwani hiko nini? Hiko shida gani? And we rally behind you, isn't it? Yeah? Komora, these things are doable. Yeah? So in conclusion, let me congratulate this year's fellows on your outstanding achievement. It is no mean feat being a fellow of any professional association. Your expertise and professional excellence are invaluable assets in Kenya's transformation journey. As we honor your success tonight, I call upon each of you to continue being champions of performance and people development in your organizations. But most importantly, let us work together, government and fellows alike, to build a workforce that is agile, accountable, and truly citizen-centered. Thank you very much. And with those many remarks, it is now my honor to welcome you to the conferment to Fellowship of the Institute of Human Resource Management this evening. And I believe Edie, you'll lead us through that, or will lead us through that?